There's something immensely satisfying about watching a primitive world come into view through your command bridge viewport. The way its continents sprawl across the blue oceans, blissfully unaware of the reckoning that awaits them. I, Admiral Crax von Darus, have witnessed this scene 47 times before. Each conquest adds another jewel to the galactic hegemony's crown, and Earth. Earth would be number 48. Admiral, the fleet is in position, announces First Officer Rena Blackstar, her silver skin gleaming under the bridge lights. 10,000 warships, arranged in the Spear of Conquest formation, just as you commanded. I straighten my uniform, brushing off invisible dust from its pristine surface. Excellent. You know, Rena, I almost feel sorry for them. Almost a low chuckle escapes my throat as I watch the planet rotate beneath us. Have our analysts finished their assessment? Yes, Admiral. They possess rudimentary space stations, a handful of lunar colonies, and approximately 300 defensive satellites. Their most advanced weapons appear to be chemical-propelled missiles. Quite charming, really. Charming indeed. I tap my fingers against the command console, bringing up the holographic display of Earth's military capabilities. Tell me, Rena, what's the longest any civilization has lasted against our initial assault? That would be the Proxima Coalition, Admiral. 6 hours, 12 minutes. Ah, yes, the Proxima Coalition. I smile at the memory. They thought their quantum shielding would save them. Now they serve as janitors on our pleasure worlds. Care to place a wager on how long Earth will last? I wouldn't dare, Admiral. You always win those bets. The bridge crew shares a knowing laugh. We've done this so many times it's become almost routine. A well-choreographed dance of dominance and submission. The sight of our massive fleet, stretching across space like a metal constellation, usually sends primitive species into immediate surrender. Sir calls out Lieutenant Cax from the communications station. We're receiving a transmission from their primary governing body, something called the United Nations. Put them through, Lieutenant. Let's hear what these humans have to say for themselves. The holographic display flickers to life, showing a collection of human representatives. Such variety in their appearance, yet all sharing that same look of concerned determination. How predictable. Greetings, people of Earth, I begin, using my most magnanimous tone. I am Admiral Crax von Darus of the Galactic Hegemony. Your world has been chosen for incorporation into our magnificent empire. I suggest immediate and unconditional surrender to spare unnecessary suffering. The human in the center, a woman with steely gray eyes and short white hair, steps forward. Admiral von Darus, I am Secretary General Maya Patel of the United Nations. While we appreciate your introduction, Earth is not interested in being incorporated into your empire. I can't help but laugh. They all say something similar at first. My dear Secretary General, I'm afraid you misunderstand. This isn't a negotiation. The hegemony has claimed your world. You have one planetary rotation to submit your surrender, or we will demonstrate our power in a way that will leave no doubt about your situation. Admiral Maya Patel responds, her voice carrying an odd note of amusement. I strongly suggest you check your historical records about Earth, particularly any warnings or notes from previous surveillance missions. Warnings, I scoff. About a pre-FTL civilization, Secretary General, I have personally overseen the conquest of 47 star systems. Your primitive defenses are nothing more than toys compared to our technological might. Is that so? She glances off screen, nodding to someone we cannot see. Then I suppose we have nothing more to discuss. Good day, Admiral. Do try to remember this conversation when everything goes wrong. The transmission cuts off abruptly, leaving the bridge in momentary silence. Well, I say, adjusting my collar. That was mildly interesting. Lieutenant Cax, begin preparations for our standard intimidation display. Let's show them what 10,000 warships look like when they light up their weapon systems. Yes, Admiral. As my crew carries out their duties, I notice Rena studying the tactical display with unusual intensity. Something on your mind, First Officer? Sir, I was just reviewing some old data files. There's an interesting notation about Earth from 300 cycles ago. It's marked with a red priority tag, but the contents are encrypted. Encrypted? I wave my hand dismissively. Probably some outdated assessment from an overcautious scout. We've seen how primitive their technology is. What could they possibly do against the most powerful fleet in the known galaxy? Looking back now, I really should have decrypted that file. Admiral Lieutenant Cax's voice carries a note of concern. I'm detecting some unusual energy readings from Earth's moon. They're mining colonies. No doubt I turned to address the bridge crew. Begin the light show. Let's give these humans something to think about during their last few hours of independence. The weapons power up 10,000 ships, creating a spectacular display of light and energy. It's meant to terrify, to awe, to break the spirit of resistance before it can even begin. But as our weapons cycle up, I notice something odd. The humans aren't panicking. Their communication channels aren't filled with fear or desperate pleas. Instead, they're laughing. Why are they laughing? The standard planetary rotation passed far too slowly for my taste. I spent most of it watching the humans' primitive communication networks, expecting to see panic, riots, or at least some good old-fashioned looting. Instead, their entertainment channels kept broadcasting something called cat videos, while their news networks hosted debates about whether our fleet's formation was aesthetically pleasing or just showing off. Admiral Rena approaches my command chair, her datapad displaying rows of statistics. I've compiled our final demands for the humans. Shall I transmit them now? Proceed, First Officer. Let's see if they still find this amusing. The holographic display flickers to life once again, showing the same chamber as before. Secretary General Patel sits at the center of a long table, flanked by military officers and what appear to be civilian leaders. Their casual postures and half-hidden smirks make my scales itch. People of Earth, I begin, injecting extra gravity into my voice. Your time has expired. Here are our terms. First, immediate surrender of all military installations and government facilities. Second, transfer of all technological data and research facilities to hegemony control. Third, implementation of our educational system to prepare your population for productive citizenship. Fourth. Excuse me, Admiral Secretary Patel interrupts, actually raising her hand like some academy student. Quick question. Have you managed to decrypt that warning file yet? My jaw tightens. Secretary General, this is not a dialogue. These are demands. Fifth, all planetary resources will be. Oh, do go on, she waves her hand encouragingly. We're all quite interested in hearing how this list ends. Aren't we? The other humans nod, some barely containing their laughter. Sixth, I continue, my voice rising. Your orbital facilities will be. Admiral Vondaris, a new voice cuts in. A tall human male in what must be a military uniform stands up. I'm General Thomas Jackson. Since you're new here, let me explain something. We've been monitoring your fleet's capabilities since you entered the solar system. Would you like to know what we've concluded? Your primitive sensors couldn't possibly. Your ships use Mark 7 quantum drive engines, at least 3 generations behind current standards. Your weapon systems are impressive in quantity but laughably inefficient in terms of energy consumption, and your shield technology. He actually snorts. We developed better protection for our garbage disposal units. The bridge falls silent. How could they possibly know such specific details about our technology? You're bluffing, I declare, though a knot forms in my stomach. Your world barely has spaceflight capability. We've observed your vessels using chemical propulsion. Oh, those Secretary Patel laughs. Admiral, those are our hobby rockets. We keep them around for nostalgia and training purposes. Sort of like how some people collect ancient automobiles. Enough, I slam my fist on the command console. You have one final chance. Submit to our terms or face annihilation. Counter-offer. Secretary Patel leans forward, all traces of amusement gone from her face. You have 30 minutes to retreat from Earth space. We're being generous because, frankly, your ships are so slow it's almost unfair. I stand up, drawing myself to my full height. You dare threaten the galactic hegemony? We have conquered 47 systems. But yes, General Jackson waves dismissively. all pre-FTL civilizations that hadn't yet developed proper defenses. Did you really think you were the only spacefaring civilization in the galaxy? That's adorable. Sir Lieutenant Cax's voice shakes slightly. Those energy readings from the moon, they're changing. Admiral Rena whispers, I've decrypted part of the warning file. Sir, it says Earth was deliberately masked to appear primitive. They're part of something called the Guardian Accord. The file strongly advises against any military action and, Sir, there's a kill count listed. A kill count? I turned to her, confused. Yes, sir. Apparently 17 different invasion forces have disappeared after engaging Earth. The file specifically mentions something called Project Thunderbolt and suggests immediate retreat if encountered. A new alert blares across the bridge. Another human appears on the screen, this one wearing what appears to be a flight suit. This is Commander Samantha Blackwood of the Earth Defense Force. Just thought you'd like to know that Project Thunderbolt is now online. Hope you followed our advice about retreating. On the tactical display, thousands of new signatures suddenly appear, emerging from what we thought were mere mining facilities on the moon. But these are no mining ships. The energy readings are off the scale. Admiral Secretary Patel's voice carries a hint of pity. We tried to warn you. Earth isn't a primitive world waiting to be conquered. We're the ones who guard this sector against exactly the kind of imperialism your hegemony represents. Sir Lieutenant Cax's voice rises in panic. The moon. It's opening. I watch in horror as the lunar surface splits apart, revealing massive hangars beneath. The supposedly primitive humans had hollowed out their entire moon, turning it into a military installation that dwarfs anything in our fleet. Incoming transmission from the Earth vessel Retribution, Cax announces. A new face appears on screen, wearing a captain's uniform that makes our best military attire look like children's costumes. This is Captain Marcus Steele. Admiral Vondaris, in about 30 seconds, you're going to witness why that warning file was marked with a red priority tag. I suggest you use that time to make peace with whatever deities you believe in. I should give the order to retreat. Every instinct screams to run, but pride holds my tongue. 47 conquests. The hegemony's greatest admiral. I cannot flee from primitives. Launch all fighters I command. Prepare main weapons. We'll show these humans the true might of. The tactical display explodes with warnings. Energy signatures unlike anything I've ever seen burst from the lunar surface. The humans' laughter still echoes in my ears as their real fleet approaches. And in that moment, I finally understand why they found our arrival so amusing. We aren't the predators here. We're the prey. The first shots from our fleet illuminate space like artificial stars. 10,000 ships firing in unison, enough firepower to crack a planet's crust. I watch with satisfaction as the energy beams streak toward Earth's supposedly mighty defense force. Direct hits incoming in 3, 2, 1. Lieutenant Cax counts down. The impacts never come. Instead, our weapons fire simply. Stops. Frozen in space like insects in amber, mere kilometers from the human vessels. Impossible, I whisper. Nothing can halt particle beam weapons in mid-flight. Correction. Admiral Captain Steele's voice comes through our comm system, somehow breaking through our best encryption. Nothing you've encountered before could halt particle beams. We mastered that trick during our first age of space combat. The tactical display shows our energy weapons dissolving into harmless radiation. Worse, the humans aren't even in defensive formations. Their ships look like they're casually gathering for a social event. Launch the drone swarms I command. All ships, release combat drones. Our fleet disgorges millions of automated fighters, our signature weapon that's overwhelmed every defense we've encountered. The space between our forces fills with the glittering swarm, each drone carrying enough firepower to level a city. Commander Blackwood's laughter crackles through our speakers. Oh good, you brought toys for us to play with. A pulse of energy erupts from the human fleet, something our sensors can't even classify. Where it passes, our drones simply switch off. Not destroyed, not damaged, just deactivated. Like someone found their power switch and flipped it off. Serena's voice shakes. We just lost contact with 80% of our drone force. Quantum disruption field, General Jackson's voice joins the channel. Turns out your drone control systems have a rather obvious vulnerability. We could have destroyed them, but honestly, this was more fun. I watch in horror as our remaining drones turn around, their control systems hijacked by human tech. Our own weapons now point back at us, ready to strike. All ships, evasive action, I shout. Emergency shields to maximum. The bridge rocks as the first wave of stolen drones impacts our fleet. Explosions blossom across space as our own weapons tear through shields we thought impenetrable. Admiral Renna calls out. The dreadnought Invincible reports critical damage. The warrior's pride has lost all power. The Stormbringer is. Enough, I cut her off. Launch our boarding pods. If we can't destroy them from afar, we'll tear them apart from within. Thousands of boarding pods launch from our remaining ships, each carrying our most elite shock troops. The humans don't even try to shoot them down, letting them attach to their hull. Sir, boarding parties report successful breaches, Lieutenant Cax announces. They're entering the human vessels now. For a moment, hope returns. Our shock troops are the terror of the galaxy, undefeated in close combat. The first report comes in from the human ship Retribution. Admiral, our troops' commander's voice comes through filled with panic. The corridors, they're empty. Of course they're empty, Captain Steele responds cheerfully. Did you really think we still needed crews to operate our ships? That's adorable. By the way, you might want to tell your troops to hold on to something. The human ship's artificial gravity systems suddenly reverse, sending our boarding parties slamming into ceilings. Then they spin, creating gravitational forces that no biological being could survive. When they finally stop, our troops lie unconscious or worse. Hull breach on Deck 7, someone shouts. Multiple shield generators failing. We've lost contact with the entire third battle group. The reports of devastation pour in as I watch our mighty fleet crumble. Not through overwhelming force or superior numbers, but through technology so advanced it might as well be magic. Admiral Vondaris' Secretary Patel's voice returns. Would you like to surrender now, or should we continue this demonstration? Before I can respond, a new alarm blares. The tactical display shows something massive emerging from Earth's atmosphere. A ship unlike anything we've ever seen, its hull gleaming with patterns that hurt my eyes to look at. Ah, Commander Blackwood says with obvious pleasure. The Thunder Child has arrived. Now the real fun begins. The massive human vessel powers up, its energy readings breaking our sensors. In its wake, hundreds more ships rise from Earth's surface, each larger and more powerful than our heaviest dreadnoughts. You know what the funny part is? Admiral Captain Steele asks conversationally. This isn't even our main defense fleet. These are just the ships we keep around for situations exactly like this. Sort of like how you'd keep a small pistol by your bedside for home defense. The Thunder Child's weapon systems come online, and I finally understand true fear. All ships I command, my voice barely steady. Prepare for. The rest of my orders are drowned out by alarms as the Thunder Child fires its first shot, and a third of our remaining fleet simply vanishes, erased from existence by weapons that defy our understanding of physics. On my command display, I watch the count of our fleet tick down like a morbid countdown clock. 10,000 ships became 7,000, then 4,000, then 1,000. We never even scratched their paint. Space itself tears open around us. Not the controlled quantum tunnels our ships use for faster-than-light travel, but massive wounds in reality. Through these ruptures, the true might of humanity emerges. Who contacts Lieutenant Cax screams. Hundreds. Thousands. Sir, the sensors can't count them all. The tactical display becomes a sea of red as human warships pour through the spatial rifts. Their vessels defy conventional design, moving in ways that mock our understanding of physics. Some phase in and out of normal space, while others seem to exist in multiple locations simultaneously. Admiral Vondaris, a new voice joins our command channel. Captain Amanda Stone of the Earth Strategic Fleet. I see you've already met our home guard. Now you get to face the actual military. My scales pale as I watch her flagship emerge. While the Thunderchild was impressive, this vessel belongs in the realm of nightmares. It's a massive construct of shifting geometric patterns and impossible angles, its hull lined with weapons that make our most powerful guns look like children's toys. Interesting design choice with your fleet formation, Captain Stone comments, as casual as if discussing dinner plans. The Spear of Conquest pattern, right? Very aggressive. Very predictable. Watch this. Her flagship, the Nightmare's Dawn, releases a pulse of energy that ripples through space. Where it touches our ships, their quantum drives begin to overload. Fascinating thing about your drive technology, Stone continues. Did you know it has a resonance frequency that causes cascading quantum failures? We discovered that by accident during a training exercise. Wrote a whole paper on it. Would you like a copy? All ships, emergency shutdown, I command. Power down quantum drives before. Too late. 100 of our ships vanish in quantum fire as their drives collapse. The human fleet hasn't even fired a shot yet, and we're already burning. You know what I love about my job, Captain Stone asks? The creativity. Take these quantum filaments we developed. Beautiful things, nearly invisible, stronger than any conventional material, and they conduct energy in the most interesting ways. Lieutenant Parker, would you demonstrate? Space lights up with a web of glowing lines, trapping our remaining ships like insects in a spider's web. Energy pulses through the filaments, shorting out our shields, weapons, and engines. Rena, I whispered to my first officer, tell me we still have ships free of that web. Only our rear guard, Admiral. 300 ships that weren't caught in the initial trap. Good. Order them too. Oh, those ships, Stone interrupts. Yeah, we already took care of them. Say hello, Commander Williams. A new hologram appears, showing a human officer standing on what used to be the bridge of our rear flagship. Behind him, I can see our own crew working at their stations, but something's wrong. They move like puppets, their actions mechanical and synchronized. Vanite Control Systems, Commander Williams explains, noticing my confusion. Your crew is helping us coordinate the surrender of your remaining rear guard vessels. Don't worry, it's temporary, mostly. You can't. I start to protest. Can't control your crews through nanotechnology, Stone laughs. Admiral, we can't even remember when we first developed that capability. It's practically ancient history for us. Speaking of history, you might want to pay attention to what's happening to your port flank. I turn to watch in horror as a section of our fleet simply dissolves. The ships don't explode or break apart. They dissolve into their component atoms, the particles scattered across space by weapons that unmake matter itself. That's our matter deconstruction array, Stone explains. Usually we use it for recycling old ships, but it works just fine for combat. The best part, it's completely clean. No debris, no radiation, no muss, no fuss. Environmental conservation is very important to us. Sir Rena reports, her voice trembling. We're down to less than 2,000 operational ships. The humans are. They're herding us into some kind of formation. Like pieces on a game board, Stone confirms. Which reminds me. Admiral, are you familiar with the human game of chess? What does that have to do with anything? Everything, actually. See, in chess, there's this beautiful moment called zugzwang, where any move you make will worsen your position. You're in zugzwang right now, Admiral. Every defensive measure you take, every counterattack you attempt, will only make things worse for your fleet. As if to demonstrate her point, one of our destroyers attempts to break free from the quantum filament web. The energy feedback reduces it to scattered atoms in seconds. Let's talk about your shield technology, Stone continues, her voice taking on a lecturer's tone. A fascinating design, really. Single-layer quantum bubble architecture with a rotating frequency modifier. Very effective against conventional weapons. Absolutely useless against what we're about to do. Commander Torres, you have permission to demonstrate. A smaller human vessel moves forward, charging what appears to be a minor weapon system. The beam it fires seems almost insignificant, until it passes straight through the shields of 30 ships as if they don't exist, leaving perfect circular holes through each vessel. Quantum phase inverters, Torres explains. We match the exact frequency of your shield oscillation and then shift one quantum state sideways. The beam literally exists in a different phase of reality than your defenses. Neat, right? Admiral Rena whispers, "What are our options?" I stare at the tactical display, watching our mighty armada reduced to trapped prey. The humans aren't even trying to destroy us quickly. They're conducting a combat demonstration, methodically showing us every way in which their technology surpasses ours. You're probably wondering why we let you get this far, Captain Stone says. Why we didn't stop you at the system's edge. Truth is, we've been trying to send a message to the hegemony for centuries. Don't mess with Earth. But you kept sending fleets, and those fleets kept disappearing, and somehow you never got the message. So this time, we decided to let you see exactly why they disappeared. Speaking of which, new alarms blare as spatial rifts open in the middle of our formation. More human ships emerge, but these are different. Smaller, sleeker, built for speed and maneuverability. Elite Strike Group 7 Stone announces. They specialize in close-quarters combat. Captain Jessica Reeves has been particularly excited to test some new weapons systems against real targets. The new human vessels dance through our formation, their weapons reducing our mighty warships to drifting hulks with surgical precision. They don't bother destroying our vessels completely, instead targeting specific systems' weapons, engines, shields, communications. It's like watching artists at work. Isn't it, Stone asks. The way they disable a ship without destroying it, preserving the crew while eliminating any threat. We find it's more humane that way. Plus, it leaves us with plenty of intact technology to study. Not that your tech is particularly advanced, but our engineering students need practice materials. I watch, helpless, as Strike Group 7 systematically cripples what remains of our fleet. Ship after ship goes dark, their crews trapped in powerless vessels, waiting for the humans to decide their fate. Now then, Admiral Stone's voice turns serious. Let's discuss the terms of your surrender. And this time, you'll actually want to listen as I sit in my command chair, watching the remnants of my fleet drift powerless through space. Rena finally decrypts the complete warning file. The holographic display fills with information that makes my blood run cold. "Sir," she says, her voice barely a whisper, "you need to see this." The file begins with a simple statement: species human. Threat level Omega. Under no circumstances engage in hostile actions. Lieutenant Cax, I call out. Play that human transmission again. The first one, with their Secretary General. The recording plays back. This time I notice details I missed before. The slight smirk on General Jackson's face. The knowing look in Secretary Patel's eyes. They weren't just confident. They were trying not to laugh at our ignorance. Rena, continue reading. Humans developed spaceflight barely 3 centuries ago, she reads. Within 50 years, they had mastered quantum mechanics, artificial gravity, and faster-than-light travel. Their rate of technological advancement exceeds any known species by a factor of 10. But that's not the most troubling part. What do you mean? Sir, according to this file, humans are the only known species that develop space travel while still engaged in constant warfare with themselves. They didn't unite as a species until after they had weapons that could crack planets. A new transmission cuts through our systems. Finally reading that file, Admiral Captain Stone asks, I was wondering when you'd get around to it. Would you like to know what happened to the other 17 fleets that tried to invade Earth? Before I can respond, data streams across my display. Tactical records, battle reports, and aftermath assessments of previous invasion attempts. Each one ended more disastrously than the last. The first fleet, Stone continues. They thought our lunar defense grid was just a collection of mining facilities. Sound familiar? The second tried to use biological weapons. Turns out they didn't know we had eliminated disease as a concept 2 centuries ago. The third, well, they actually managed to land troops. Want to know what happened to them? Captain Stone, I managed to say, I begin to understand why. No, Admiral, you really don't. Not yet. Commander Torres, please share the historical records with our guests. New data floods our systems. Images and videos of human warfare through the ages. Endless conflicts, constant innovation, each war driving them to develop ever more powerful weapons and defenses. You see, Admiral Stone explains, most species develop technology to improve their lives. We developed it to survive our own worst instincts. By the time we reached the stars, we had mastered the art of war in ways your people can barely comprehend. The tactical display shifts, showing Earth's full defense network. What we thought were primitive satellites are actually quantum-linked weapon platforms. Their lunar bases extend throughout the entire Moon's core. And in high orbit, nearly invisible to our sensors, float city-sized battle stations. Let me tell you about humanity's greatest advantage. Stone continues. We never stopped preparing for war. Even after we united, even after we found peace among ourselves, we kept innovating, kept building better weapons and defenses. Not because we wanted to use them, but because we knew that somewhere out in the galaxy, there would be species like yours. Species like ours. Empires. Conquerors. Those who mistake technological advancement for superiority. The hegemony isn't the first empire to discover Earth, Admiral, but we're hoping you'll be the last to make the mistake of attacking us. Rena pulls up more data from the warning file. Sir, it says here that humans maintain a defense budget larger than the combined economic output of 12 sector alliances. They build weapons we can't even classify as weapons because we don't understand the principles behind them. And do you know the best part? Admiral Stone asks. Everything we've shown you today? These are our conventional weapons, the ones we're willing to let potential enemies see. Would you like to know what we keep in reserve? My scales ripple with fear at the thought. That won't be necessary, Captain. Are you sure? We have these lovely things called probability bombs. They don't just destroy their targets. They erase the probability that they ever existed. Or maybe you'd be interested in our quantum mirror technology. It lets us borrow weapons from parallel universes where we developed even more advanced technology. The warning file's final section appears on my screen. Conclusion: Earth is not a primitive world to be conquered. It is the shield that guards this sector of space, protecting younger civilizations from threats they cannot yet face. Any aggressive action against Earth will result in immediate and overwhelming retaliation. You're not just a military power, I realize aloud. You're guardians. Finally, Secretary Patel's voice returns. He begins to understand. Yes, Admiral, we guard this sector not because we want to, but because we must. Your hegemony has conquered 47 developing civilizations that could have become something magnificent if given time to grow. We protected hundreds more that you never even knew existed. The full weight of my mistake crashes down upon me. We didn't discover Earth. Earth allowed us to find it. Every primitive defense we observed was a carefully crafted illusion designed to lure overconfident aggressors into revealing themselves. The red warning tag, I murmur, all this time, was meant to save your lives. Stone finishes. But since you chose to ignore it, we had to demonstrate why it existed in the first place. Speaking of demonstrations, I believe it's time for the final act. Admiral Vondaris, I suggest you pay very close attention to what happens next. The survival of your empire may depend on how well you describe it to your superiors. The Thunderchild moves into position, its impossible geometry shifting and flowing like liquid metal. Behind it, Captain Stone's fleet arranges itself in a pattern that makes my tactical officers gasp in recognition. Sir Rena says, her voice filled with awe and terror. That's the Aegis of Retribution formation. It's referenced in the warning file as the precursor to a quantum cascade event. A what, I ask, though part of me already knows I won't like the answer. Allow me to explain. Captain Stone's voice carries an almost gentle tone now. You see, Admiral, we discovered something fascinating about reality. It's not nearly as stable as most species believe. With the right application of energy, in the right configuration, you can create a cascade of quantum effects that, well, perhaps a demonstration would be more effective. Commander Torres. A pulse of energy ripples out from the Thunderchild, touching one of our dead ships. For a moment, nothing happens. Then the vessel begins to change. Its hull ripples like water, solid metal flowing like liquid. Then it starts to fold in on itself, not breaking or crushing, but literally folding through dimensions we can't perceive. Fascinating, isn't it? Stone continues. The quantum cascade doesn't just destroy matter. It rewrites the fundamental rules of physics in a localized area. Everything caught within its effect must suddenly obey laws of physics that are, let's say, incompatible with normal existence. Sir Lieutenant Cax shouts. Multiple anomalies detected throughout the fleet. Our quantum drives are. They're resonating with something. I watch in horror as more of our ships begin to fold and twist, their matter responding to forces that shouldn't exist in our universe. Some vessels stretch into impossible shapes, while others collapse into points of light smaller than atoms. You see, Admiral Secretary Patel joins the channel. We could have destroyed your fleet conventionally. But that wouldn't have sent a clear enough message to the hegemony. We needed to demonstrate why Earth has been marked as forbidden territory for so long. The Thunderchild's hull begins to pulse with energy that hurts to look at. Around it, space itself seems to crack and splinter like broken glass. Through these cracks, I catch glimpses of other realities, other versions of this same battle, where humanity's weapons are even more incomprehensible. The quantum cascade has another interesting effect, Stone explains, as if giving a lecture. It creates a temporary link between parallel universes. Right now, your ships aren't just being destroyed in this reality. They're being unmade in thousands of different timelines simultaneously. The mathematical probability of their existence is being systematically reduced to zero. But our crews, I protest weakly. Surely you wouldn't. Oh, don't worry about your crews, Stone assures me. We evacuated them the moment our nanites took control of your systems. They're currently enjoying a lovely stay in our temporal stasis fields. They'll be returned to the hegemony along with you, once we're finished here. The tactical display becomes increasingly useless as more of our ships succumb to the quantum cascade. Reality itself seems to be breaking down around us, the space between stars taking on colors that shouldn't exist. Admiral Rena calls out, her voice steady despite everything. We're receiving an energy reading from Earth. Sir, it's larger than anything our systems can measure. Earth's atmosphere begins to glow with auroras that spiral up into space, forming patterns that make my eyes water. The quantum cascade effect intensifies, spreading through our fleet like a virus through a neural network. Is that, Stone says with obvious pride, is our planetary defense grid coming fully online. We usually keep it powered down to avoid disturbing the local space-time continuum too much. Maintaining causality is important, after all. But since you've been so interested in seeing our true capabilities, the auroras suddenly converge into a single point of light above Earth's North Pole. For a moment, everything becomes perfectly still. Even the quantum cascade pauses in its destruction. Final warning, Admiral Secretary Patel announces. You might want to close your eyes for this part. The point of light expands faster than our sensors can track. Where it touches our ship's reality simply gives up. Physics throws its hands in the air and walks away. Matter, energy, space, and time become suggestions rather than rules. I watch as my mighty fleet, the pride of the hegemony, dissolves into quantum uncertainty. Ships don't explode or break apart. They simply cease to maintain consistency with normal space-time. Some fade away like old memories. Others turn inside out through dimensions we can't perceive. A few simply vanish, leaving behind only mathematical proofs of their previous existence. Absolutely beautiful, Stone comments. Engineering division outdid themselves with this one. The quantum probability matrix is maintaining perfect coherence across all affected volumes of space-time. My command ship, somehow untouched by the cascade, floats alone in space. Where once 10,000 warships filled the void, now only scattered lights and quantum echoes remain. Occasionally I catch glimpses of our vessels through tears in reality, existing in impossible configurations before fading away entirely. Now then, Admiral Vandaris Secretary Patel's voice turns serious. Let's discuss what happens next. You'll be returning to the hegemony with your crews and this single ship. You'll deliver a message for us. What? I have to swallow to find my voice. What message? The same message we've been trying to send for centuries, Stone answers. Earth is not a target. Earth is not a prize to be won. Earth is the guardian of this sector, and we take that responsibility very seriously. The next fleet that ignores our warnings won't get a demonstration. They'll simply cease to exist, along with whatever empire sent them. You could have done this from the start, I realize aloud. You could have erased us the moment we entered the system. Of course, we could have Patel confirms, but then you wouldn't have understood why. This way, you get to explain to your leaders exactly what happens when someone threatens Earth, in excruciating detail. My tactical display finally gives up trying to process what it's seeing and shorts out completely. Through the viewport, I watch the last quantum echoes of my fleet fade away, leaving behind empty space that somehow looks more vacant than simple emptiness should. One last thing, Admiral Stone adds. That warning file you finally decoded. We've taken the liberty of upgrading it. The next time someone accesses the hegemony's records about Earth, they'll get to watch everything that happened here today. In full, uncensored detail. Consider it our contribution to your historical archives. As my crippled command ship limps away from Earth under their guidance, I realize that I've witnessed something far more terrifying than mere defeat. I've seen the future of warfare, and it belongs to humanity. The rest of the galaxy never stood a chance.